Within the hidden chambers of greatness lies a secret so powerful that only the top 1% dare to truly embrace it. It is not a secret guarded by locked doors, nor written only in rare books, nor whispered exclusively among kings and billionaires. It is a law, an eternal principle, available to every soul bold enough to understand and apply it. Yet the tragedy of life is this: while millions wish for success, only a rare few decide to master the invisible forces that create it. Look carefully at those who rise above the crowd, those who command wealth, influence, power, and achievement. You will discover they do not think as ordinary people think. Their greatness begins in the mind. The top 1% have learned that riches are first created in thought before they ever appear in the physical world. Every palace was once an idea. Every empire was once a vision. Every fortune was once a burning desire in the heart of someone who refused to surrender. The average person drifts through life hoping, wishing, waiting. But the extraordinary individual does something radically different. They choose. They choose their destination with precision. They define what they want, fix their mind upon it, and refuse to be distracted by temporary defeat. This is the first secret definiteness of purpose. A scattered mind produces scattered results, but a focused mind becomes a magnet, drawing opportunities, people and resources toward itself. The top 1% understand that desire alone is not enough. Wishing is powerless without faith. They cultivate an unshakable belief in their ability to achieve, even when circumstances scream otherwise. They see beyond present limitations. They act as if success is inevitable because they know the subconscious mind obeys the dominant thoughts it is fed. Fear, doubt, and hesitation are the weapons of failure. Faith, confidence, and relentless persistence are the tools of victory. Persistence. This is where most people fall. They quit too soon. They allow obstacles to become stop signs rather than stepping stones. But those who reach the summit understand that every setback carries within it the seed of an equal or greater advantage. They do not curse adversity, they use it. Defeat becomes education. Failure becomes refinement. Hardship becomes strength. While others retreat, the top 1% advance with greater determination. Another secret lies in their relationship with time. The masses spend time, the elite invest it. They know each hour is a seed that will either grow wealth or regret. They guard their attention fiercely because they understand that where focus goes, energy flows. They do not waste themselves on gossip, excuses, or envy. Instead, they pour their mental power into growth, strategy, learning, and execution. The top 1% also understand the extraordinary force of association. They know no person rises alone. They deliberately surround themselves with minds that challenge, sharpen, and inspire them. Weak minds drain ambition. Powerful minds ignite it. They choose companions who expand their vision rather than shrink it. They build alliances based on mutual advancement, knowing that coordinated effort multiplies power. But perhaps the greatest secret of all is self-mastery. To conquer the world, one must first conquer oneself. The ability to discipline emotion, control impulses, direct thought, and remain steadfast under pressure separates rulers from followers. The person who cannot govern their own mind will forever be governed by circumstance. The top 1% are not slaves to fear or comfort. They become masters of decision and action. Understand this clearly: wealth is not merely money. True riches include freedom, purpose, confidence, influence, and the power to shape one's destiny. Money often follows these qualities as naturally as night follows day. The world pays greatly those who solve problems greatly. Therefore, the secret is not to chase money blindly, but to become the kind of person whose value cannot be ignored. Inside you now rests the same power that has built fortunes, transformed nations, and elevated ordinary individuals into legends. The difference between where you stand and where you dream to be is found in your willingness to discipline your thoughts, define your purpose, strengthen your faith, and persist beyond every obstacle. The door to the top 1% is not locked. It is simply heavy, and most people stop pushing too soon. But for the one who dares to think clearly, believe deeply, and act boldly, that door will open. And on the other side stands the life that only a few ever claim. Not because it was denied to the many, but because only a few decided they would not live or die as part of the crowd. The world has always been divided into two classes of people: those who wait for life to happen, and those who command life according to the power of their vision. The vast majority wander through existence like ships without a compass, drifting wherever circumstances, fear, or public opinion may carry them. But the rare top 1%, those who rise to extraordinary heights of success, wealth, and influence, live by a different code. They have discovered that life does not reward hesitation, it rewards decision. They understand that destiny is not an accident but a creation. There exists within every human being a reservoir of untapped power so immense that, once awakened, it can transform poverty into prosperity, weakness into strength, and dreams into tangible achievement. Yet most people never access this power because they have been conditioned to think small, to fear risk, and to accept limitations imposed by others. The top 1% reject this conditioning. They refuse to let society define the boundaries of their ambition. They know that every extraordinary achievement begins the moment a person dares to believe they are capable of more. This belief is not empty hope. It is a disciplined state of mind. The masters of wealth and achievement understand that thought is the starting point of all riches. The mind is a fertile field, and whatever is planted there, whether fear or courage, doubt or faith, will eventually bear fruit. If a person constantly nourishes thoughts of scarcity, failure, and weakness, their life will reflect those thoughts. But if they feed their mind with vision, confidence, and purpose, they begin to shape reality itself. The top 1% guard their thoughts more carefully than others guard gold, because they know that thought is the true currency of creation. They possess a definite chief aim. They do not merely wish for success. They know precisely what they want. This clarity gives them power. A person with a clear objective can align every action, every relationship, and every decision toward one central purpose. This creates momentum, and momentum is one of the greatest forces in achievement. While the average person changes direction with every difficulty, the extraordinary remain fixed like a lighthouse in a storm. They may adjust their methods, but they never abandon their mission. The top 1% have also mastered the principle of emotional control. They understand that emotions can either serve or sabotage. Fear, anger, jealousy, and doubt are destructive when left unchecked. But desire, enthusiasm, courage, and faith are creative powers when properly directed. The successful do not allow temporary emotions to dictate permanent decisions. They remain calm in chaos, focused in uncertainty, and disciplined when others surrender to panic. This emotional mastery gives them an advantage that cannot easily be measured, yet it shapes every result they produce. They also know the value of specialized knowledge. General information alone rarely creates fortune. Wealth comes to those who acquire knowledge with purpose and organize it into practical action. The top 1% are lifelong students, but not passive learners. They study to apply. They read to execute. They seek understanding that can solve problems, create opportunities, and increase value. They know that in a world full of information, applied wisdom becomes power, action. This is where the hidden line is drawn. Many dream, but few act. Many plan, but few execute. The top 1% understand that ideas are powerless without decisive movement. They do not wait for perfect conditions, because they know perfection is an illusion that often disguises fear. They begin before they feel fully ready. They move while others hesitate. They understand that action creates clarity, confidence, and opportunity. The road reveals itself to those who travel it. Persistence remains one of their greatest distinguishing qualities. Temporary defeat stops the weak, but it strengthens the determined. The top 1% know that nearly every major success is preceded by disappointment, rejection, or failure. They expect obstacles not as punishment, but as tests of commitment. Every challenge asks the same question: how badly do you want this? Most people answer with retreat. The extraordinary answer with persistence. They continue when applause fades, when doubt rises, and when progress seems invisible. This relentless determination often becomes the deciding factor between mediocrity and greatness. Another profound secret is their understanding of value creation. The world does not pay people merely for effort, it rewards value. The top 1% focus obsessively on becoming useful, effective, and exceptional in solving problems. They ask, how can I serve on a greater scale? How can I create something people need? How can I become indispensable? In doing so, they position themselves not as seekers of opportunity, but as creators of it. They are also masters of decision. Indecision drains power, creates fear, and breeds missed opportunity. Successful people develop the habit of making decisions promptly and changing them slowly if necessary. They trust their reasoning, gather facts, and act boldly. The masses often do the opposite. They delay decisions out of fear and reverse them quickly under pressure. This habit alone keeps countless people trapped in ordinary lives. The top 1% understand that environment shapes destiny. They are highly selective about what they hear, what they watch, who they associate with, and what influences their beliefs. They know that constant exposure to negativity can poison ambition. Therefore, they intentionally create environments that reinforce excellence, possibility, and discipline. They seek out those who challenge them to rise higher rather than those who encourage excuses. One of their rarest traits is their relationship with responsibility. They do not blame circumstances, governments, families, or bad luck for where they are. They accept full responsibility for their lives. This mindset gives them power, because the moment a person accepts responsibility, they also claim the ability to change. Blame keeps people weak. Responsibility makes them dangerous in the best possible way. They understand sacrifice. They know greatness often requires giving up temporary pleasure for lasting achievement. While others chase comfort, the top 1% pursue growth. They willingly exchange distraction for discipline, entertainment for education, and ease for excellence. This willingness to endure short-term discomfort often creates long-term freedom. And finally, they are driven by something deeper than money alone. Though wealth may come, true greatness is fueled by purpose. Purpose creates endurance. Purpose sustains discipline. Purpose transforms work from burden into mission. The top 1% often possess a vision larger than themselves, and this vision gives them the resilience to continue when lesser motives would fail. The greatest secret is that these principles are not reserved for a chosen few. They are available to anyone courageous enough to apply them. The difference is not birth luck or magic. It is mindset, discipline, action, and persistence. Within you is the capacity to rise beyond average, to think beyond limitation, and to build a life of extraordinary significance. The gates to greatness are open, but entry demands transformation. You must think differently, act differently, and believe differently than the crowd. You must become the architect of your destiny rather than the victim of circumstance. For those willing to do this, the secret of the top 1% is no longer a mystery, it becomes a way of life. Understand this powerful truth. The secret of the top 1% is not hidden because it is rare. It is hidden because most people refuse to see what is directly before them. They search for shortcuts while ignoring principles. They chase luck while neglecting discipline. They admire greatness from a distance, but hesitate to pay the price required to achieve it. Yet the laws that govern success are as real and dependable as the laws that govern the rising of the sun. Those who align themselves with these laws rise. Those who ignore them remain where they are. The first great law is this: you become what dominates your mind. Human thought is the workshop of destiny. Every fortune, every empire, every invention, every revolution began as a thought held with conviction. The top 1% know that their outer world is a reflection of their inner world. Therefore, they do not permit random thoughts to control them. They consciously direct their mental energy toward possibility, abundance, strategy, and growth. They know that the mind, when mixed with purpose and belief, becomes a force more powerful than circumstances. Most people underestimate the power of imagination. They view it as fantasy, but the masters of achievement treat imagination as the blueprint of reality. Before wealth can exist in the bank account, it must first exist in the imagination. Before success can become visible, it must first become conceivable. The top 1% cultivate the ability to see beyond current appearances. They envision opportunities where others see obstacles. They perceive expansion where others see limitation. They train themselves to think in terms of creation rather than reaction. This mental discipline requires guarding against one of humanity's greatest enemies, fear. Fear has destroyed more dreams than failure ever could. Fear of criticism, fear of poverty, fear of rejection, fear of uncertainty. These invisible chains keep millions imprisoned in average lives. But the top 1% understand that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something greater matters more. They act despite fear. They move despite uncertainty. They recognize fear as a test, not a command. One of the most extraordinary qualities of the highly successful is their ability to delay gratification. They do not sacrifice tomorrow for temporary pleasure today. They understand the mathematics of discipline. Small sacrifices made consistently produce enormous rewards over time. While others spend, they invest. While others consume, they build. While others seek entertainment, they seek elevation. This principle, though simple, separates those who remain trapped in cycles of survival from those who ascend into realms of freedom. The top 1% also understand that energy is one of life's greatest currencies. They protect their physical, mental, and emotional vitality because they know exhaustion weakens judgment. They are intentional about habits, routines, and focus because they understand that success is rarely the result of one giant action, but rather the accumulation of thousands of disciplined choices. They rise early not merely to wake, but to gain an advantage. They plan not because life is predictable, but because preparation multiplies opportunity. They know the power of mastery. In every field, extraordinary rewards go to those who become exceptionally skilled. Mediocrity may survive, but mastery commands. The top 1% choose a mission, a craft, a business, or a purpose, and they sharpen themselves relentlessly within it. They study details others ignore. They practice when others rest. They refine when others repeat. They become so valuable that their presence changes outcomes. In a competitive world, uncommon skill creates uncommon leverage. Another hidden secret lies in their relationship with failure. Ordinary people personalize failure. Extraordinary people analyze it. The average person says, "I failed, therefore I am defeated." The top performer says, "This attempt failed, therefore I have learned." This distinction changes everything. Failure, when properly understood, is feedback. It reveals weaknesses, exposes flaws, and strengthens strategy. Every setback becomes data. Every mistake becomes instruction. Thus, what destroys one person becomes the foundation of another's empire. The top 1% are also strategic thinkers. They do not simply work hard, they work intelligently. Hard work without direction can exhaust, but strategic effort multiplies. They ask better questions. What produces the greatest return? What systems can create scale? Where should I focus to maximize impact? They understand leverage, the art of using resources, people, knowledge, and systems to expand results beyond personal effort alone. This is why they often accomplish what appears impossible. They have learned not only to work, but to multiply. Decision-making remains one of their greatest weapons. Every day, life presents crossroads, and each decision either builds power or weakens it. The top 1% do not drift, they decide. They understand that hesitation often costs more than imperfect action. Once they gain sufficient knowledge, they move boldly. They are not reckless, but neither are they paralyzed by overthinking. They know that opportunity often rewards speed paired with wisdom. They also possess an uncommon relationship with criticism. The average person fears judgment and shapes their life around public approval. But the top 1% understand that innovation often attracts doubt before admiration. They are willing to be misunderstood while building what others cannot yet comprehend. They do not let criticism from those without vision dictate their path. Instead, they extract useful insight, discard noise, and remain committed to their purpose. Gratitude and ambition coexist within them. They appreciate what they have while relentlessly pursuing what they can become. This balance prevents both arrogance and complacency. Gratitude strengthens the spirit, ambition expands the future. Together, they create a mindset of abundance rather than desperation. The top 1% understand that wealth without character is fragile. True power requires integrity, trust, and reputation. Opportunities multiply for those who are respected, reliable, and honorable. Character becomes capital. A person may gain quickly through deception, but enduring greatness is built upon trust. The truly elite know that reputation, once damaged, can cost more than money can repair. Perhaps the deepest secret is this: they do not view themselves as victims of circumstance, but as creators of outcome. Even when life deals harsh conditions, they ask, "What can I do now?" This question keeps power in their hands. Victims surrender control, creators reclaim it. The top 1% may face storms, but they continue building. And so the secret is revealed not as a mystery, but as a disciplined philosophy. Master your mind, Define your purpose. Conquer fear, embrace sacrifice, act decisively, persist relentlessly, create immense value, and never surrender responsibility for your destiny. The world will always reward those who solve greater problems, think greater thoughts, and refuse to remain ordinary. Greatness is not reserved for the privileged few. It is claimed by those who align themselves with these timeless laws and live them daily. You were not born merely to watch others rise. Within you exists the same mind, the same power of decision, the same capacity for discipline that has elevated countless individuals from obscurity to greatness. The path is demanding, but it is available. The secret of the top 1% is not that they possess something magical. It is that they think, decide, and act in ways the other 99% refuse to sustain. Choose this day whether you will continue as part of the crowd, or whether you will awaken the giant within. Seize command of your thoughts, and step boldly onto the path where extraordinary lives are built. For the doors of greatness do not open for the curious. They open for the committed. Commitment, this is the final dividing line between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Many desire success. Many admire wealth. Many speak endlessly of dreams they hope to achieve someday. But hope without commitment is merely a pleasant illusion. The top 1% separate themselves because they make a decision so deep, so absolute, that retreat is no longer an option. They burn the bridges of excuse. They silence the voice of procrastination. They move forward with the understanding that greatness is not a matter of chance, but a matter of choice backed by relentless action. They know that life will test every ambition. There will be seasons of darkness when results seem invisible, when sacrifice feels unbearable, when doubt whispers that surrender would be easier. This is precisely where the masses turn back. But the top 1% have trained themselves to interpret struggle differently. They do not see hardship as proof that they should quit. They see it as proof that they are being forged. Just as fire strengthens steel, adversity strengthens those willing to endure it. Pressure does not destroy greatness. It reveals it. The ability to maintain vision during seasons of invisibility is one of the rarest powers on earth. When others cannot yet see the harvest, the extraordinary continue planting. When applause disappears, they continue working. When temporary defeat arrives, they continue believing. Why? Because they understand a principle that average minds often forget. Results are often delayed, but rewards belong to those who remain faithful to the process. This faithfulness requires self-reliance. The top 1% do not wait for permission to pursue excellence. They do not require constant validation to continue. They are internally driven. Their standards come from within, not from public opinion. This independence gives them extraordinary power because they are no longer controlled by the praise or criticism of the crowd. They become guided by purpose, not popularity. And then there is execution, the disciplined translation of thought into reality. Brilliant ideas alone do not build empires. Vision without labor is hallucination. The top 1% understand that every masterpiece requires construction. They break overwhelming goals into practical steps, and then they move with consistency. Day by day, choice by choice, discipline compounds. What appears to the outside world as sudden success is often the result of years of invisible preparation. They also understand that prosperity begins with service. The greater the value one gives, the greater the reward one often receives. Those who rise highest usually solve bigger problems, inspire more people, or create broader impact. Wealth, influence, and significance frequently flow toward those who make themselves indispensable through contribution. So here lies the final secret. The top 1% are not superhuman. They simply refuse to live by default. They design themselves. They condition their minds. They strengthen their habits. They guard their vision. They act when others hesitate, persist when others retreat, and believe when others doubt. The greatest tragedy in life is not failure. It is unused potential. A mind filled with dreams but never disciplined into reality becomes a prison of regret. But the person who commits fully, who masters thought, who aligns action with purpose, becomes unstoppable. You stand now where every great achiever once stood, at the point of decision. You may continue drifting with the current of the average, or you may choose to rise, to think with power, to act with courage, and to live with extraordinary intention. For the secret of the top 1% has never been beyond your reach. It has always been waiting for one thing: your decision to claim it.